You have us a countdown this time and everything? Wow. Hey,
Hey guys,
everybody.
welcome.
How's it going? It's Don't Worry Wednesday. You guys
Thanks.
made it.
Congratulations.
It's the greatest show that we do on Wednesdays.
That's the hardest part. Wait, this is the greatest show we do on Wednesdays.
It is.
Yes. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise because they're a liar.
They're
'Cause we don't do
totally
any other
lying.
shows.
That's right. Yeah, it's the best one. Mainly because it has Ryan.
Who?
Static P.
The P?
The P is here.
He's on the show?
He's on this show. Did you
Guys,
know
it's
that?
awesome. What? Where is
Wow. I know. It's amazing. It's amazing. You probably are going to have a tough time seeing him. Maybe.
Okay. You're right.
I don't know. But at any rate, this is the show that we do on Wednesdays, which is why it's Don't Worry Wednesday. And it's the one where we handle any issues, challenges, or anything you might be going through in your life. You can feel free to just post it in the chat. You can feel free to send us an email, dww@bss.studio. You can post it on our website at bss.studio. And Princess has graciously put the links down for them. Oh, you can find us on Discord as well. If you find me on Discord, I think it takes about a month for me to respond, generally. People can either confirm or deny that. But we're not professional therapists, counselors, or anything like that. We just want to be your friend. We want to help in any way we possibly can, offer you some love and encouragement and maybe some perspective along the way. And we just want to do what we can to help out. So we fully know that you're probably smart enough to figure a lot of this out on your own, but there are times when you're so immersed in a situation that it's so tough to see anything beyond this one little part that you're looking at. And we forget about the whole rest of the picture. And sometimes it takes somebody outside to just take a look and be like, oh yeah, did you remember about this part? Or remember about this part? And that can make a world of difference. I know it has a lot of times for me. So welcome again. And got to give a shout out to our producer, Jesse. And he's awesome. He'll be here. He was having a coughing fit a minute ago. And
yeah, it was nuts, actually.
We'll see. He was taking out. He's got cats. I think he wanted to have a hairball like them. Like was what it sounded like.
I think it sounded pretty intense. It was pretty severe.
Yeah. And also we want to shout out to Princess Yellow. She's our chat room hostess. She keeps us in line. She keeps us on track, and she keeps everything going in the chat and manages a whole lot for us. So can't say enough of our appreciation. So I'm Joe. I'm your host this evening, and the star of the show, like he is every time, Static P, right up there.
I ain't no star.
You're the star of the show, man.
I'm not even made of plasma. I've got plasma in me, though.
I mean, you've got Squishmallows.
You're right.
You're the star.
I don't know how that's an argument, but I'm going to go with it. You're probably right. I'm a star because I have Squishmallows.
Yeah, and a Kodo.
That's true. Are you just naming things that I have that you can see? You know, I have other things than this, Joe.
You have glasses.
You could name any of them. Do you know anything that I have that you can't see right now?
Glasses.
You can see my glasses.
You have a clean-shaven face under that beard.
You win. Yep, I sure do. But you can't prove it. No. All right.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
So, at any rate, welcome, guys. We're really glad that you're here. Who do we have here with us today? We got a whole list of a bunch of stuff from before. I see Lay, you're here. You have a topic.
Oh yeah.
Q. Let's see.
Did we do sparrows last time?
Vega, I believe, is cherry, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sparrow. I don't think we did Sparrow because Sparrow wasn't here.
We've got. Well, Sparrow is here. Now.
Sparrow is here. Is here.
Is here. Right. Sparrow is here. Is here.
But I think last time I think I saw you were doing homework, so.
Yeah, that could be.
Weren't able to be here.
Something like that.
So you got Sparrow.
Sparrow's here.
Got Lay. We've
Lay.
got Cherry.
Cherry.
And yes.
Okay.
And a whole bunch of other ones of people that I see are not here. So I'll tell you what we'll do is we will start with sparrows, because that's the first one. That's the oldest one, actually. This was from December 4th, actually. And Princess beat me to it. She's so on the ball, man.
Yeah.
So all right, but there's the link. Got to go in like 20 minutes. Perfect. We'll do this
Awesome.
in 20 minutes. It helps that you don't mince words in your topics. You know, you keep them.
Yeah.
You keep them
Constructed.
concise, and yeah, exactly. So this is called Criticism, Constructive or Destructive. It's by Sparrow, and it goes like this. Sparrow is here. Sometimes I feel as if constructive criticism is destructive criticism. What do I do?
Oh.
Sparrow is gone. That is a great point, Sparrow, because criticism, I hear a lot of people saying, hey, I'm going to offer some constructive criticism. And most of the time, it doesn't build you up. They just want to tell you how bad you are.
That's what it feels like. That's what it seems like.
They just want to give you their opinion.
Yeah.
So I think criticism, whether it's constructive or destructive, has a lot to do with the type of relationship you have with that person and how strong it is and what kind it is. And I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because he is brilliant.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
take it
that,
away.
Joe.
Clean shaven under his beard, Ryan.
So Sparrow is here. I think this is a great question. Just oftentimes I think it's better if you have constructive criticism, it's better to find a way to not be criticizing and just constructive, right? So if you're in a position where where you have constructive criticism for anybody and you're like, okay, I notice this is wrong and I want to help them, I think it is far better to just pause for a second and find out, how can I say this that builds them up alone and doesn't put them down, right? Because now you're putting your words in an affirmative and growing pattern. It's going to uplift them. It's going to do what you intend to do. A lot of times, if you have constructive criticism, where you are criticizing, again, yes, it puts you down, because that's the intention of criticize, is to put down. Like that's so it's kind of one of those things. You might say you have to break down some walls to build up new walls that are better, right? Or things like that, in building and constructing and things like that. But and I can get that, but they'll get there when they get there. You don't necessarily have to always put them down to help build them back up. So that's just a side note. But what you're addressing here is really interesting. And this is what I would suggest. It took me a long time to learn this, but when we take offense to things, there's a moment where we can decide, we can choose to take offense or not. Someone might intentionally be offensive. Someone might go to you and say, you're stupid, right? Which is not very kind. It's just blatantly mean. You can, at that point, go, okay, I'm going to choose not to take offense to that, because why does what this person say? Why is it that this person, what they have to say, why would that matter? I couldn't figure out how I wanted to say that sentence. But anyways, why does their sentence have to change anything about you or have any impact on your emotion, right? You get to pick. If we don't pick, we're left to our own devices, our own habits, our own reactions that are kind of just inside of our subconscious mind, and we're just probably going to go off the wall. But if we decide to not take offense, now we are in control. And that's kind of the same approach you have to take with constructive criticism, also known as probably offensive criticism.
Or just criticism.
Yeah, or just criticism. Just constructive offense. Yeah. No, Yeah, and so I think that's the same approach. When someone gives you constructive criticism, you have to kind of have the relationship with yourself to be able to say, you know what? I'm going to listen to what they have to say and I'm going to respect them. But at the same time, I don't have to take offense to whatever they say. I don't have to really do anything they say. Their opinion is their opinion, and they might be right. So let's take a step back from myself. Let's look at this analytically and not emotionally. Let's just separate ourselves from, let's separate our emotions from the scenario. Because if we're taking our offense to something, right, that's an emotion. That's an emotion replying to something in the outside world. But if we can take a step back for a second and just kind of think to ourselves within inside ourselves and just say, hold on, are they right? If yes, good. Because now I know where I can move forward. And I will choose to just let what they say be said. And it's okay if they don't know how to talk to people yet. You know what? Maybe, if we want to get into constructive criticism, if they were being constructive, if they gave you constructive criticism, you could reply with constructive criticism about their criticism. But you don't have to. I wouldn't suggest it.
Right.
If they use constructive criticism, you can thank them, walk away and think about it. Now, there's the possibility that they are not right. They give you constructive criticism and you just it, it's not going to help, right? Because that happens. And then you can just dismiss it because it's like, it's whatever. I think if we can kind of part ways with our emotions sometimes, not let them take over our actions, because a lot of times what happens is our pride prevents us from improving. When you get constructive criticism and you feel down about what they said, the reason you feel down is because you don't want to look bad in front of others.
Mm,
You don't want to look bad in front of yourself as well.
mhm.
You don't want to be like, man, that's right. I didn't do a very good job. Or that's right. I wasn't trying as hard as I could have. Or that's right. I was being lazy or whatever it is, right? We don't want to admit those things because it doesn't feel good, right? But when it's right, it's right. And if we can let pride just kind of, if we can just remove it, then we can be humble and move on and start to grow and move forward, right? So I guess back to the main question. Sometimes you said, sometimes I feel as if constructive criticism is destructive criticism.
Mhm.
And yeah, it is oftentimes. But I think the best way to move around that is to just, whenever you feel that, at that moment, remind yourself you have the choice to be offended or not. And then whatever, obviously what you want to do is say, okay, I'm going to not be offended. I'm going to just let whatever they said go and figure out how do I move forward from here based on what they said. Because I'm going to try to understand that they don't understand how to talk to people very well.
Mm,
I'm going to
mhm,
try to what's the word? Be compassionate for them,
mhm.
for their way about going to help you. Because if their intentions are good, their intentions are good. And that's a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
They might not understand how to say things right without being mean. And so you can kind of pity them and be like, you know what? They just don't know better. I'm going to move forward based on what they said, though, because they are right. Or maybe they're not. But
Mhm.
there you go. That's the best I've got for now. And I know I don't want to eat up too much of your time because you've got things to do. So I'm gonna move over to Joe and yeah.
Well, I first of all, thank you for the question,
Hmm.
or for the topic, Sparrow. It's an awesome topic, and it's very true. Like what Ryan was saying, it's very true. You know, a lot of times people will just say things. They just maybe don't know how to relate things in a way that's constructive. They just, have a thought about something that happened, and they just say it however best way they can, and
Hmm.
that can happen. But so I think I'm gonna categorize this. So Master Lay has given us some definitions here, and I think they're pretty accurate. So criticism in our modern understanding wraps two concepts, critique and opinion. The first one gives you raw facts about the thing in review, should be as objective as possible. The latter is just an opinion, how one person perceived the thing in review, their feelings about the said thing. Constructive criticism, in my opinion, happens when people manage to convey a critique, then preferably as advice on how to avoid the mistakes the critique mentions. Opinion in constructive criticism, IMO, is non-obligatory, is a non-obligatory risk. You can lift someone's spirits, but at the same time, what could inspire one person could break another one's heart. Absolutely. So you have to know who you're dealing with.
Right.
So I'm gonna approach this from the two perspectives. One is the person receiving constructive criticism from a person, and the other is the person giving constructive criticism. So if you are on the receiving end of constructive criticism, and Sparrow, I don't know which perspective you're talking about here, so I'm just gonna handle them both because we're probably all gonna be in the situation where we're on either side of the
For
table, you know. So how to take constructive criticism? Now, I need to preface this. I'm not an expert. I just, have lived through a lot of criticism. And I've been in a position to be able to offer criticism, and I've learned some things along the way about what works and what doesn't, and what helps and what doesn't. And so I'll start this. I remember always I had lessons, I had private lessons teachers, and I had, band directors and choir directors and different things, everything that I would probably do this in is either music or I guess in swimming, I had coaches, and stuff too, that these people were in positions to offer me criticism, right? When I was younger, I used to be affected by criticism from the audience. And yes, there's a place for that. There's a way you should listen to your audience. You should gauge where your audience is at, especially if whatever you're at. But at the same time, when I hear criticism from somebody, even if they say, "Can I offer you some constructive criticism?" If somebody ever prefaces a sentence with, "Can I offer you some constructive criticism?" I know that what they're going to say is pretty much an opinion of what they think, or whatever, unless they are an expert in that field. If they're my teacher, if they're my mentor. Now, here's the other thing. They may be an expert in the field, but if they don't know me, they don't know where I've been, they don't know my growth through the situation, they don't know where I'm at in my journey of whatever I'm doing, whether it's percussion or swimming or whatever. If they don't know where I'm at in my journey, then what they say could be irrelevant, or it could be, just because it's something I haven't gotten to yet. I'm still working toward that level. I'm not there yet. Or it could be something that, my teacher has already mentioned and he's going to mention again. And, I guess that's the case too. But either way, so if you're on the receiving end from criticism from an audience member, my advice on that is to just smile and say thank you and don't pay attention to it. I mean, listen to it, acknowledge it, be nice about it, and then let it go. Just let it slide off your back, because really the people that matter are the people that know you, they know where you are in your journey, and they're the ones that can actually help move you forward, right? So interestingly, my son is a percussionist, and I'm a percussionist. I studied percussion since I was in, fifth grade, and then before that I played and read and played piano, and I learned, always wanted to play percussion. And so like, I've been a percussionist for years. I majored in percussion in college. I mean, I'm a percussionist. And my son started playing percussion now. He's in fifth grade and he's just beginning. And people would say, wow, you could totally help him out. And it's right. But my relationship with him is I'm not his director. So he had a concert last night, Christmas concert. It was wonderful. And I may be biased, but he did a great job. I think he did a great job. I mean, beginning band members are always like, always when you're beginning everything. It's like, well, interesting. But I found a few key points that I could praise him on, and I left it at that. Because what I'm looking for him to guide him along that path is not to fix his issues. I want him to want to play, because the more he plays, the more those issues are going to fix themselves. And so I just talked about, man, the way you played the crash cymbals, you actually made the cymbals shimmer like they're supposed to. It didn't just sound like a clang, like so many people getting started. Like you had the touch that made them shimmer when you hit those crashes,
I love when they shimmer correctly.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. It
Yeah.
was beautiful. And then another moment was him. He was playing a tom-tom part, and another kid was playing a snare drum part, and they were playing the same thing. And they were so together. Like they really, really nailed it. They sounded like one drum. And for fifth graders, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, man, you and Maddox, you guys were like right together. It was great. And so my point there is I want to praise him and make him feel like he's good enough and that he has a way of doing this. So it encourages him to continue, because I know any of the little things, the way he holds things, the way he does, that's all going to get worked out as he grows. Right. So that's kind of when you're in a position to give criticism, you really got to take a look at your relationship with the person. Are you their mentor? Are you their teacher in this field? Or are you just a person with an opinion? Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's willing to throw their opinion around loudly. It seems like the louder the opinion, the less you should listen to it. But
yeah, there's something to that.
But so that being on the receiving end, for one, if it's somebody that is your teacher, your mentor, whatever, they're training you, then yes, listen to them, and take what they have to heart. But then remember to separate who you are from the action, right? Because it can feel like they're talking at you, but what they're really talking at is the thing that you did, which is separate. So you have to really try to compartmentalize that and make sure that it's not you that you're letting that sink into. If you're giving constructive criticism, I've heard it said you want to sandwich criticism between two positives. So you say something positive, then you insert your thing that could be done better, and then you finish with another positive. So you build up on either side, and then insert the correction in the middle, right? Because that's your goal. Your goal is to help them grow. You always got to be mindful of that. If you're giving criticism, the question is why? Is it because that you want to help them grow? Or is it because you want to sound smart? And if your heart is in the right place, then criticism can be constructive. I dealt with a lot of different criticisms growing through my musical training, but I never experienced anything like when I was in college. We did a show with the dance department. It's actually where I met my wife.
I was just about to say, isn't that where you met your wife?
It is, actually. And they had this thing that I'd never experienced this before, But after every dress rehearsal and after every show, they had this thing called notes. I'd never experienced this as a musician before. And notes is when you sit down in the seats, the auditorium or whatever, and then the different choreographers and directors come up and they have their list of everything everybody did wrong. And they just bash you for like an hour. And it's like, I remember sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what is that? Like, I have never experienced this. Like, I feel so bad for all these dancers because they're like, and some of these people are getting really like into it and like, whoa, like emotional, and you're ruining my vision and all this stuff. And it's like, blah, blah. I'm like, whoa, like, I went away there feeling demoralized. I'm like, what, these dancers gotta be tough or something. And they are, if they're not, they don't go very far, I don't think. But I'd never experienced that before. And to me, I don't know if that's good for them or not. I know for me, it would not be. They never really had notes for the percussion department, except for maybe like, hey, when you're interacting with, the dancers on stage, do so this way or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They just basically said, they're just trying to move things along because we were fully integrated into the performance too, right? So, but they didn't, I just remember that. I'm like, wow, that is some serious business. But that gave people an idea of what to fix. So I think, I don't know, I hope some of that kind of helps you out a little bit, but I agree that most criticism is just criticism. It's very difficult to find criticism that's actually constructive. And if it is, it's based on, the relationship that the person has. Are they involved in the growth of the person they're criticizing? At that point, it can be constructive. Ryan and I, when we talk about music, when we talk about each other's music, we can be fairly blunt because both of us know where our heart is and both of us have the same goal, and we're just trying to help out. I remember calling Ryan on a recent song, one that most of you probably haven't heard yet because it's,
Yep. That's
a
right. They
later
haven't heard that one
episode.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's episode 12.
Yep. But I remember offering a suggestion on tweaking some levels in the chorus and everything like that. And was I offensive
Nope.
when I said that?
Nope.
I was direct. I know that.
Yeah.
I
You
didn't.
liked the song, and then you told me that you liked it, and then you told me that there was a part it was hard to hear the lyrics in the chorus, and I said whatever I said. And I think I agreed. And I basically just said that, because I'm the one who wrote the song, I can hear the lyrics. But
Mhm.
because you didn't write it, the lyrics don't stand out as much to you. So yeah, I just went
Mhm.
through it. And you gave me some ideas and ways to correct it, and I tried them out and eventually settled on one. So
Yep. And like 3 hours later, I had a new version of it and it was totally fixed and it's awesome. Like, and it's now my favorite Criminal Idol song.
really, you like that one a lot? Huh?
I
That's
do,
good.
I
That's
do.
good.
And it's my son's favorite too. No, it's
Oh,
like,
really?
can you listen to that song?
He likes
Yes,
Big
we
Band
can listen
Swing,
to that
huh?
song. Yes, yes,
I
it's
love
fun.
Big Band Swing.
And it's way fun.
Yeah, it is
So,
fun.
but anyway, Sparrow, I know you are on a time frame here. I hope if you're still here, I hope some of that was helpful for you. Ryan, did you have anything else to say
Um,
about criticism?
um, not really too much. I guess the last thing I had to say was one. If you're supposed to give and constructive criticism, one way to do it is to say like, "Hey, this is really cool," and then put your opinion out there. So rather like or your understanding out there. So if you understand something better than somebody else, instead of saying it maybe the normal way you would say it, or be like, "Hey, you're wrong on this," or hey, I noticed you did this wrong. I just want to point this out. You can say that and that's polite, right? But instead, something that's amazing that you can do is say, hey, check this out. This is really cool. I learned this not too long ago. And then you just put it out there, right? And then you don't correct them. They see what you just put in front of them and they go, oh, okay, so I was wrong about that. All right, I can do that. That makes sense, right? Then you allow them to see, you allow them to critique themselves rather than you critiquing them. Um, if that makes sense. So like I've seen, for example, in video games, I've seen like people on YouTube construct or giving tips and like telling other people how to play the game better. And I've seen multiple different people do it in multiple different styles. And I've seen people just bash on people, be like, wow, you're doing this? What, like, why are you doing that? You're wasting your time. You should be doing this instead. Like, that doesn't even, what part of the game is like, that's stupid, like they're going off on the person, right? Then and it can work, that does work for some people. But then on the other hand, you have people go, "Hey, check this out. Let me show you something real quick." So when you do this, you can actually, put your time over here. And then what that allows you to do is this, and you can build up and whatever, right? And then when you do that, now the attention isn't on their faults. The attention is purely on the facts, purely on um, the point you're trying to make, and it's not being put on their faults. And so that makes the biggest difference. Um, but yeah, yeah. Oh, hey, Sparrow. Yeah, you're a Kickstarter backer. We will be releasing that stuff, but
Mhm. It's
yeah,
coming. It's
it's
coming. I
coming.
promise. We're working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yep. It's tough. The holidays are kicking our butts.
Yeah, and then everything else at the
And
same time.
everything else. Yes, it's some we're on a tight ship, a very small tight ship, a very lowy, like small staff tight
Yeah,
ship.
and it's sinking, and soon we're going to be under the sea.
What?
Okay, no, it's not sinking. It's
It's
pretty
not.
good. It's pretty. We got some big
I was like, is
waves. We
there
got some
something I
big
don't
waves,
know?
and we're gonna be flying soon. We're learning how
Oh, it's gonna
to
be
put
great.
wings on our ship.
Yeah,
It's gonna be amazing.
that's right. It's
It's still gonna
cool.
be tight. Still gonna be small, but it'll fly. So
Yeah. One thing that helps, like if you're dealing with criticism, I you know, one thing you can kind of gauge yourself how you're doing. I remember when I was playing when I was younger, I was always looking for people. I was always hoping somebody would say, "Hey, nice job on the drums," or "That sounded
mm,
really cool," or whatever. And my I remember when I got older and I was gigging quite a bit. I was playing a lot of different shows in different, it's mostly bars and clubs and stuff like that. And um, I remember it was interesting because I was like, the best compliment I ever got as a drummer was nobody saying anything at all about my drumming. But I looked out there during the show and the dance floor was full. So you watch the reaction of the people. I was at that point in that, context. I was watching their reaction. I was like, okay, watching what people did. They were dancing the whole time. There were people out there, they were having fun, they were enjoying the music and everything, and I was providing a beat that they could dance to. And nobody said a word about my drumming. And that meant that I did my job well because I provided them with a wonderful night. And that was what I was supposed to do.
mhm,
I wasn't supposed to draw a bunch of attention to myself. I was
right.
supposed to provide enjoyment for them. And that, when I learned that, a whole new world of possibility opened up. And I was even thinking about this today.
That's
I was
brilliant.
driving by a bunch of businesses. I was in the city, doing inspections, and I'm driving by all these businesses that I've never been in, ever. And some of them have been around for a long time. I'm like, they've survived just fine without me this whole time. They didn't even need me because I haven't been in their establishment. But enough people have gone in there to do business with them. And it made me realize any one person, any one critic, any one, opinion doesn't really matter. What matters is, are you providing what you're supposed to provide for others? And then are the people that are into it, are they enjoying it? And that I don't know, that was very interesting to me because I was like, I had this epiphany while I was driving. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
look at that. They survived just fine. They didn't even need me. What the heck? The nerve.
The nerve. Yeah. The world is supposed to be centered around me. All right, Sparrow. Well, you
Yes.
have a wonderful night, and we hope to see you next time.
Yes. Catch you on the flip flop. And thank you for
If
the
he
question.
wears
Thank you for the topic of flip flops. Flippy floppy.
If you catch someone on the flip flop, that means they're wearing flip flops. Or they're just standing on a pair of flip flops. But either way.
That's very true. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah. But you're
But at
catching
any
them,
rate.
which means that you're like now holding them. Yeah.
I caught them and they're on their flip flops. I caught them by the flip flop.
Oh. So next time someone leaves the room, I'm just gonna, or I have to leave, I'm just gonna like, see you guys, catch you by the flip flop.
Catch you by the flip flop. Later.
Wow.
And then they're hanging.
Yeah,
their flip flop.
Yeah, it's like bringing a what do you call that? A prop with you everywhere you go, just so you can say that phrase.
Right.
All right.
That's awesome. All right. So let's see. Yeah. Next in line, we have, looks like Sparrow's supposed to be gone, but I want to hear what I say, what they say when I'm gone.
Oh no. Sparrow, we love that guy. Sparrow's so cool. Man, it's so great to have him here.
What a great guy.
Even when he's gone, we just love him.
When he's gone, it's sad because he's gone.
Yeah, that's true.
But we know people got stuff to do. It's all good. So, all right. Next in order would be Lay.
That's right.
And yeah. And Princess. Man, Princess, you're so fast.
I'm liking that.
You're so fast tonight.
Yeah, what's different?
It's incredible.
All right.
So that's awesome. All right. So this comes from Master Lay. And is called Betrayal of Promises. And it goes like this. Question. Basically, what's been happening is I've had a great bunch of people betray my trust all the way through. Anything from not keeping their promises to even betraying me. The bad part is I'm not mad at anyone. I'm mad at myself. And I can't even tell why. In the end, I also noticed I started to avoid actions that require trust. Anything from asking someone to share their homework with me, through asking my parents if they could get me breakfast for the next day, etc., even the small things. So, how and where do I start healing after that? I assume it's all about healing. I don't think I can just give up on trusting others. So, what do I even? Question mark.
So what do I even?
What do I even?
Yeah.
And there's a response here from Sumner. And
yeah, Sumner has been on the ball with responding to these things.
Yeah, with some really insightful stuff. So I would encourage you to read that. when you have a chance, Lay, if you haven't. And then, yeah, anything we say can piggyback off that. But I know it's tough. It's tough when you're betrayed. It's tough when you count on someone and they don't come through. It's, I've dealt with that. I've even dealt with that recently, with a client. We have a business arrangement that I'm going to do work and they're going to give me money, and like there's been trust, you know, shaken in that regard too.
Mm.
So that can be kind of tough. But
It's tough on multiple levels, that one.
yeah. So what do you do? And Ryan, what do you do?
I don't
Because
ever
you
get
handle
betrayed.
everything. You handle
So
everything like you're like a duck.
yeah. Okay. I'd like you to carry on before my imagination does, because it will run away with that one.
No,
So you're
because
saying I've got
everything.
teeth on my tongue? Like my
Because
tongue grows teeth?
when you see a duck on the water, you know,
No,
it
that's only
just
a
looks
goose.
like so peaceful and serene. But
Oh, yeah.
underneath the water, they're battling, paddling, paddling. But you don't
That's
even
right.
see that part. It's just
Yeah.
like,
Okay, I see. Well, that was very kind of you to say.
yeah.
Um,
So Ryan's a duck.
I'm aided by the dove. I'm like the mannequin, and there's a dove above me that makes me look like a duck, and I'm paddling, but there's these strings, and they're attached to this dove, known as the Holy Spirit. So, yeah.
You're
See,
like a mannequin. See, I'm like a
yeah.
manatee. I'm slow and easily injured by propellers.
I was gonna say that. You poor thing. Oh, poor manatee. All right. Well, moving on. No, this is a really great question. There's so many different ways I could take this, and I think probably if you did, just out of curiosity, Lay, did you read through what Sumner Keegan, or Kagan, sorry, left you? Um, and if so, cool. But yeah, I like that you're immediately addressing the root, or not necessarily the root, but yeah, that's fair. You're addressing, how do I heal from this? You're immediately trying to get to the point, and I think that's awesome. That's a good play. Healing is a really interesting thing. Forgiveness is a really interesting thing, because there are times when we think we've forgiven somebody, but we haven't, which is interesting. There are times when we think we've forgiven someone completely, but then we find out later that, oh, I thought I forgave them, but apparently I didn't, which is weird. One thing I heard recently I thought was very, very smart is to actively, in your brain, think through everything that happened. So when someone betrayed you, right, play back that memory. Play back all of the actions, right? They did this. That was wrong of them, and I forgive them of that. They also went on to do this. A lot of times it's a multi-step process, right? They lured me into this position, and then they did this, and I trusted them, right? And so it's like a multi-process thing. Usually there's the trust being gained, and then there's the trust being destroyed, right? There's it's usually like lies and so on and so forth aren't just a single thing. There's a lot leading up to that. There's a lot going on in the person's life and in your own life and in the scenario and how you guys intertwine. And so it's good to kind of play back your memories with that person and have compassion for them along that journey that you take yourself on. That way you know that you can. One thing that does is it allows you to go through that scenario that now you've built up a wall, right? You say like, I find it hard to trust. I avoid actions that require trust, right? So you've got this wall built up. If you go through the scenario, because here's what's important. Not only are you forgiving that person, more importantly, well, more importantly in your scenario, you're forgiving their action
Mm.
because it's those actions, right? It's not the person. At this point, right? You've said, I've forgiven them, and you do. But the actions, you worry because they could happen again, right? That's why you have the wall built up. That's why you have this fear, this wanting to avoid uh, anything that requires trust. So you have to forgive not just the person, you have to overcome the action. And the way you prove you overcome an action in this scenario is to take the steps necessary to just walk beyond the wall. Um, when you're afraid to go, like when you're a kid, I think a lot of people relate to this. A lot of kids, for some reason, one reason or another, we end up at some point afraid of the dark. Um, but we can walk into a dark room and it's scary, right? Like we know that room is dark and we can choose, we can make a choice. Like I'm going to walk into this dark room, even though I'm deathly afraid for whatever reason. We know we can think to ourselves logically and be like, that's stupid. Why would I be afraid of the dark? There's nothing in my bedroom. It's dark. I was just in there. There's nothing in there. But I happened to watch a scary movie or something, and now I can't go into my bedroom. What is this? This is dumb. I'm just being illogical, right? But at the same time, we're still afraid. What it takes is just walking in anyways. And when you walk into your room, it starts building up confidence in yourself. It starts building up like, hey, I did it. You know, hey, I'm not dead. Sometimes that fear lingers, even though we're doing it, right? But that happens in anything we do in life, right? You're trying to learn a new instrument. You have to go through the process of playing it over and over and over and over until you get good.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing with breaking down your, um, I don't know, you're breaking down your walls. You know, Sometimes you have to walk past those boundaries over and over and over until you get comfortable in that area. So you have to go into the dark bedroom over and over and over until you get comfortable with that dark bedroom. Um, because our minds can be irrational, they can be afraid, and they make us do or stay away from certain things, right? And we know that about ourselves. We just simply have to act against it. So ultimately, the way to healing in this scenario um, is yeah, walk yourself mentally through those things, through those events that happened to you. Again, yes, forgive the person, but then think about those actions and say, you know what? I'm alive. I'm not even dead yet, right? I'm still me. I'm still capable of acquiring many things in this world. I'm still capable of being an incredible person. I'm still gifted in all of these things. I have many gifts. I have a computer or a phone to type on, right? I have all of these talents. I have the words and thoughts that I can breathe into the world. And they didn't take any of that away, right? You are capable of overcoming this, right? How you do that, again, just like I said, what my point is that you clearly weren't really that affected by it. The only thing that's affected by it is your ability to trust. Because at the end of the day, you still have a lot to offer to the world, right?
Mhm.
You are still an incredible, lovable, amazing person who deserves to be trusted who is trustworthy and who deserves to not have this problem, right? You don't deserve to have trust issues, right? No one does. It's just something that happened to you and caused you to have that, right? Ultimately, my point is kind of like Joe's example. You can be like a duck sitting on water, looking unwavered by the waves and and everything that goes on beneath it. Because peace is always available to you. But peace is an understanding of yourself and the world around you, that you are in the right spot at the right time. And you are, because you always have an opportunity to do good. And that means you're in the right spot. If you're taking those opportunities to do good things in the world, right? Then you have everything you were meant to have. You are everything you were meant to be. Because you are capable of doing everything that's good. So, if you recognize that in yourself, if you can see that, then you know that no matter what happens in life, it's okay. Because no one can take the goodness of your heart away from you. No one can take your ability, your personal ability to shed light into the world, to shed goodness throughout the world. No one can take those gifts away from you. So it doesn't matter if people break your trust, right? There's so much to gain when you put trust in another individual and they uphold it. And it's so much, you can have so much more influence on the world if you have parties with you, if you have other people as companions, right? Which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much to gain in trust, and the world runs on trust. Like literally, if we do not have trust, we do not have economy.
Right. Yep.
Bam. That's like everything.
Right.
We
Even
don't
the
have
stock
sales,
market.
distribution of goods like food. We don't know if that food is poisoned. Like there is so much that you're trusting, you don't even know. You have to trust that when you hop in your car to drive somewhere, that the person next to you isn't gonna just crush you on purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you trust people every second of the day that you're around anybody. So all you can do, you can't control any of that. All you can do is trust them, hope for the best, do your best, and there you go. That's all you have, So, yeah, I don't know what else I can say on that, but I'm gonna let Joe have his swing at it because I'm sure he's got much wisdom to give.
Oh, well, I'm not so sure about that. But I did see your post today that said, and if I may ask, do you think that would work if the person I'm forgiving is my own self?
Yes.
And that's an important topic to cover too, not just trust with others, but to trust yourself, to heal yourself, to forgive yourself, to love yourself. These are all important things to consider as well. And I've heard somebody say, the amount you love others is it correlates with how much you love yourself. Like you can't love others any more than you love yourself. So if you don't love yourself very much, you're not going to be able to love others very much. Because I mean, but there is that kind of correlation. So if there's something that you've done that you're mad at yourself for, you haven't forgiven yourself for, that can be so hard. And it can be really hard to forgive yourself. Like I find that I forgive others much, much more easily than forgiving myself.
Sure. Yeah, me too.
It's harder for me to forgive myself than it is to forgive other people, like when they do stuff. Now, here's the other thing. If you spend enough time with a person, they will betray your trust.
Yep. Period. It will happen.
I promise. It's going to happen. So the question isn't, like, oh, it's not, what am I going to do if that happens? It's no, you have to have a plan. How am I going to handle it when it happens? Because it's going to. If like, oh my gosh, people talk about, oh, my life would be complete if I just had a relationship with somebody. Well, that may be true. However, there's a lot that comes with that. You're going to hurt each other. I remember when I got married, there was kind of this tongue-in-cheek threat, if you ever hurt my daughter, if you ever hurt my sister, then you're in trouble. I'm like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, already happened. It's going to happen again, I'm sure. She's going to hurt me too, by the way, we're going to hurt each other because that's what happens. You spend enough time around people, the closer you get, the more you're going to cause each other pain. And it's because we're people. It's not because that we're trying. It's not that, I'm trying to hurt my wife or I'm trying to hurt my friends or anything like that. It's just that I'm not perfect. And so I do things, even when I have the best of intentions, I mess it up and do something wrong. And I hurt people. Or I'll hurt myself. Like I will make a choice to do, I don't know, like I've got a whole set of things I need to do, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do them in this order, and this is how it's going to be. And then I do it, and it turns out to be like it just blows up in my face, and I hardly get anything done, and whatever, right? So I've had that happen many times, and I sit there and I beat myself up for a long time. And I'll never forget the words. Like these words have been burned into my mind, and I love them. And it's so applicable here. And there's 3 words to remember, and it's can't change it. Can't change it. Once something has happened, it has happened, and you can't change it. You can't go back in time and do it over. It happened. Now, the question is, where was this person's heart? Whether it's me or whether it's another person that I'm dealing with, I have to ask, okay, where is their heart in this matter? And if they really have the best of intentions and it's just they're trying and they just screw up, or they're trying a new approach and it turns out to be not the right approach, and like maybe I even told them it wasn't going to be the right approach, but they didn't listen to me and they did it anyway, and that's how am I going to handle that? They're still a good person. They still got a good heart. They still have the best of intentions. It was just a mistake. So you look at that and it gets pretty easy to forgive that person, because then you're like, oh, it's not anything to do with them. It's just that, hey, they made a mistake. I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. We all try things and fail all the time. It's okay. And so then you forgive them and you move forward, and it's okay. And sometimes you need to pray about it. Sometimes you need to sit there and think about it. Like Ryan was talking about, go back through the details of the incident and relive it a little bit, maybe relive that pain, and then deal with it and really, really experience it again. So you can forgive that feeling. You can forgive them for giving you that feeling. Forgive them for giving.
I like that. No, I like that. Forgive that feeling, because a lot of times what our main issue is with ourselves, right? And the feeling we had at that moment, maybe how we reacted.
Yes.
Right? Maybe we know that we shouldn't be that hurt by it. We're disappointed in ourselves, right? You have to forgive that feeling even. It's not your fault,
Right. Well, and then but that opens up a whole new world, because then you're just like, so I'm forgiving this person, but then I have to forgive myself for feeling a way that I shouldn't have felt. Maybe I went overboard with my hurtedness, And that can be the case too. Maybe I was a little too sensitive on something. And, you know, I have moments where I'm sensitive to stuff. When I'm under a lot of stress and I'm tired and I'm crabby, you know, it happens. And I'm just like, I don't deal with it. Somebody calls me with some, you know, issue, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. It's their
We've all been
fault. It's my wife's fault the van broke. No, it's actually not. The van is the van and it broke. Like,
Yeah, it's a machine.
Yep.
What can you expect? They're gonna have feelings.
Yep. Raka says challenge promotes growth. That's so true. And that's true here. When you're hurt by somebody, that's an opportunity for growth. When you're hurt by yourself, it's an opportunity for growth. In fact, just look at muscles. The way that you grow them is by hurting them. You lift weights, you break them down, they tear, little tiny tears, and then they grow back stronger. That's the way they grow. It's the same with relationships. You know, you have a challenge. What happens then? The more challenges you go through with a person, the stronger that relationship can get as a result after the healing. Now, what does it take for healing? Forgiveness. And forgiveness of the other person, forgiveness of yourself. And what Ryan said was so important because it can be deceiving. We think that we've forgiven a person, but then we keep reliving it and we keep churning up those feelings and we keep getting mad about it. And it just, you know, like, so we haven't really, maybe we have forgiven it. We've said we've forgiven them, but we haven't really dealt with it. Maybe we need to go back and go through it like he was saying. I think that's so important that I wanted to say it again, because we can deceive ourselves so easily. But I tell you, as hard as it is to go through some of this stuff, it's worth it. As hard as it is to try and trust again after you've been hurt for the zillionth time, it's worth it. It's worth it to love others. It's worth it to love yourself. You know, to be at peace with others. It's worth it. And in my marriage and in many of my friendships, I've been through a lot of challenges where I've had trust betrayed. And we've gotten through it. And I've got some really strong relationships with people. And every single one of them is unique. But it's worth it. Can't imagine my life without them. I can't imagine not having those experiences. But yeah, anyway. Brad says, when it comes to forgiveness, you may have forgiven the person for the said thing, but it's harder to forget. Once you've forgotten, then you've truly forgiven. That's true. Now, some things you never forget. You just kind of don't get upset about it anymore.
Sure.
You
Some
know?
things you're even thankful for, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Ryan has taught me so much about, you know, how to suffer well.
Oh,
And
I'm
to
sorry
go
for
through
causing you
that.
that much suffering. Jeez.
No. He hasn't caused me the suffering. He's just helped my perspective through suffering, you know, through different experiences where it's like, you know, and my perspective on that pain and how beneficial it can be for
You thank
growth.
God for that, but
And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But anyway, yeah, so some things turn into great stories. Like he's like, you remember that time when this happened? Oh my gosh, yeah. How did we ever get past that? I don't know, but we did, and we're great, you know.
Yeah.
That can be the case too. But yeah, I mean, but to forget the offense, yes. To let go of that and not be offended anymore. That's true forgiveness. You might not totally forget the experience, but you forget being offended for sure. And yeah, I'll tell you, I'm gonna turn it back to Ryan because I'm gonna just talk forever. So Ryan, what do you got?
Nice. Sakura, I like that imagery. Mending broken pottery with gold. And I
Mm,
think a lot of times that's what healing actually is. Um, it's creating good into something that is bad, right? When we when you tear a muscle and it heals, it comes back stronger. And when you have something bad happen to you in life, you can take that and you can go through a process of healing. You can forgive and you can make something that makes you stronger, that makes other individuals stronger, and makes you a better person, right? Capable of more things, and there's so many gifts to find within that, right? And that's really the same thing, mending broken pottery with gold. I think that's a beautiful um, analogy. Um, but yeah, one thing I think is interesting. The Pope, yes, the Pope said, "Who am I to judge?"
mm.
In concern with, I don't even remember what it was. I think, man,
Might have to
there
do
was
with same
something going on.
same sex attraction
Yeah, I think it was
and
same-sex
stuff.
attraction. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
what it was. So he was approached by somebody, and in the aspect of same sex attraction, and he just said, well, "Who am I to judge?" Which is a great response because who are we to judge? We
Yeah.
all make mistakes, right? We
Yeah.
all do stupid things. Here's the beautiful thing about that line, the hidden note of that. You judge yourself, don't you? You need to stop that. And now analyzing yourself makes sense, but don't condemn yourself,
Mm.
right? That's basically kind of what that type of judgment is. It's condemning, and you don't want to condemn yourself. So when you look at yourself and you see these broken parts or you see this unforgiveness, right? I think a good response is, who am I to judge? Because you're just you. You can't see everything. You don't know everything. And even if you did, you'd still make the wrong choices because we're humans and we're selfish sometimes. We're just wrong on purpose sometimes because that's our nature. We're also good. We're also beautiful and amazing because that's our nature as well. So I think that that's just a good line. Who am I to judge? When it comes to other people who wrong you, who are you to judge? You're gonna send them. You don't have the power, but if you could, send them to heaven or hell. It's not your judgment. You don't know every facet of their life, and you don't know the goodness of their heart. And similarly, you can't even judge yourself. You really can't. You don't remember all the good that you've done and where your heart has been this whole time. You can't judge that. You don't know it. And I think if you understood, now, of course, you may or may not be Christian, but if you understood the way that God looks at you with such love and forgiveness, you would come to realize, like, why am I even concerned about this? I have he who is love, and he who creates the world, and he who casts judgment, and he who judges what judgment is, he who knows what that even is. He who is the essence of goodness, holiness, right being. And I'm gonna judge myself and try to figure all that out. I don't think so. And he loves me on top of all of my problems, all of that I've done. I think it helps if you're a Christian, it would help you to understand, like, wow, who am I to sit here and dilly-dally on these little problems thinking that they're so bad that I can't be loved when in my face is all creation and beauty and the example of love in the world and kindness other people treat me with and the love that I have to give other people and the love that I've witnessed myself giving. All of that exists. And yet here I am worrying about, you know, something as small as this when I know the creator is like, I'm just waiting for you to forgive yourself so that you can move on.
Mm.
Because I love you and I want you to just get through this. Yes, this is a gift to you. I gave you this problem because it's going to transform you into someone who can love even better than they used to be able to. Because really that's what this is it not? Love is when you can stand the test of struggle and get through it with the other person in mind, right? And so this is exactly that, is it not? When someone breaks your trust, even if that person is you, if you don't like yourself, right? Even if that person is you, if you get through it with the best of that person in mind, that means you have now not only become capable of a love that's stronger than you used to have, not only did you become capable of loving more than you previously were capable of, you've also already put it on display. You've also taken the action to show the goodness of your heart. When you go through these tough times, right? When you go through this struggle, healing is like a lot of times, it's not just fixing something. It's kind of like what Sakura said. It's putting the clay pot back together using gold. Because like Joe said, you grow through it and it makes you so much stronger of an individual where eventually you get to the point where you can't be shaken. And I think that's something that is required of everybody. That's something that I wish I could give to everybody, the ability to just not be shaken. But that's something that you have to learn by going through it, because there's no other way than to just be shaken over and over until you figure out balance, just like any child who's learning how to balance. You know,
I wouldn't
So-
recommend going and shaking them though.
yeah, don't do
In
that.
order to
That's
get them to
actually
balance. Hey, I see you're trying to balance.
hold on. Let me. Yeah. No, you're not balancing right. Hold on. Spin you around 42 times in a row. Then I'll try. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's. I know I kind of went on a tangent there, but I hope that helps, Master. I hope that puts you in the right mindset when you go through and forward with this, this scenario that you have to deal with, because you are entirely capable of trusting people again. You're entirely capable of breaking down that wall, going past it, and living outside of it.
Mhm.
You don't want to recoil into yourself and shut out the rest of the world, because that's the opposite of putting good into the world. That's the opposite of showing and proving your love. That's the opposite of the reason you were given this struggle. That's the exact opposite of the reason you're given this struggle. And that struggle is now owning you. It's making decisions for you, right?
Mhm.
The best way is just be like, no, I ain't having that. I'm better than you, struggle, because I'm a real person and you're not even a thing. So I'm going to go up there. I'm going to talk to that guy and I'll be like, yo, I trust you with my whole body and soul. So give me a donut. And they're going to be like,
Give me a donut.
get out of here, Frank. All right. I'm done. I'm way done. I'm past your bedtime.
Oh, yes. Well, like, hopefully that is helpful. you know, and hopefully you can grow through this experience.
I did a left chevron. I did a chevron snap. I didn't do a full Z snap. I just realized. The Z, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did
But
like
chevron's
I
up
just
and
did
down,
a
right?
chevron. A chevron points in any direction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, thank you so much for the topic.
Sassy Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman.
Nice. What do you think? You think we got time for one more?
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna do one more on here. Next in line that's here looks like it is a wandering soul.
That's right.
And,
thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks for coming. And it's called Friend Frustrations. So love you too, Lay. Thank you so much for
I
being
hope some
here
of that
and
is
for your
helpful to
topics
you
and everything, and for your contributions in the chat.
I know what Joe said was really good. So
well, I had to laugh because you know, when I was talking, I don't always know exactly what I said when I'm saying it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but then Lay quoted me. It was like, the van is the van and it broke.
Yes, I think that statement stands alone and
Yeah.
is one of the truths of life.
Yep. And then Cherry said, yeah, vans seem to break more than other cars. You know, that's somewhat true.
Nice.
But anyway, so thank you guys for all of that. But this is
Yeah.
from Wandering Soul. It's called Friend Frustrations. Princess has posted it. So you can feel free to click the link and follow along. It goes like this. To preface, this is a spliced topic from my previous post. Due to the nature of my topic being long, I'm separating the topics so they may be more easily covered. One of the things that I've always struggled in my life has been making friends. When I was a child, I simply felt no need to. I was happy and had fun on my own. By the time I actually got around to wanting friends, everyone already had their groups. This is not the focus of the topic, however. This struggle has made me very appreciative of the friends that I do have. They're one of the things that keeps me going. That's great that you have that perspective, by the way. Excuse me. However, I've also dealt with another struggle my entire life. Friends not initiating anything. Throughout my life, I've always been the one to start conversations, make plans, see how they are doing, you know, basic friendship stuff. And yet that kindness is so rarely returned to me. Not to mention, there are several whom simply do not respond to me if I try to start a conversation with them. I understand that people are busy and that there's a chance I'm just being whiny, but is it really that hard just to say, hey, I can't talk now? It makes me feel awful when I do not get any sort of response back from the people I care about. I rarely bring this concern up with my friends for the reason of not burdening them, but I'm honestly just really getting sick of this happening over and over again. It makes me feel worthless and that nobody actually cares. What does one do in this situation? I've been tempted to just not respond and see how many people actually care, but I feel like I'd just end up with no responses and an empty social life.
Okay.
And that is from Wandering Soul. So, wow, I'm very sorry that you have to go through this. It's a painful experience. I know that anytime I was making phone calls, you know, like there have been times that I've had to, you know, make phone calls to expand business and whatnot. And I know it's always the hardest. Like, no response was always the hardest. I would rather have somebody answer and reject me.
Just hang up.
Yeah, just like answer hello, and then I go into the spiel, and then they just blah, 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 and hang up. You know, take me off your list. Okay, that's better than no answer. So I know the frustration because it's just like, really, you're just gonna say nothing. But anyway, so with that, I'm gonna turn it to Ryan, and he's gonna say something amazing. So
Something
listen up.
amazing. Okay, with that,
I'm the great predictor.
Yeah, I felt obligated, so I was like, oh geez, now I have to say it. You're the host, so kind of have to do whatever you tell me.
That's right, I do.
Uh-huh.
Ryan, jump up and down.
Darn it. I've revoked your power in my brain. So anyways, no, this is a really, really great topic. Wandering Soul is interesting. Again, dude, awesome punctuation. Just throughout the whole thing, perfect use of the semicolon. I know, like that's not what your question is about. I'm sorry, but I just have to say it.
Is that how you use a semicolon?
Yeah, that's how you use it. They're doing it. It's
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
never have figured out how to properly use a semicolon.
yeah. I used to use them, and now I haven't used them in a long time. And now I use dashes instead of semicolons, where you really should be putting semicolons. Yeah, you'll see that in my book, maybe, unless we correct it.
Uh,
So anyways, hyphens, I should say, instead of dash. Anyways, sorry, Wandering Soul. Yeah, so, okay. I think one of the things I would recommend immediately, now this might be what Joe wanted to say, but I would like to recommend a book. If you like writing, imagine what it's like to read. So we have now there's a book, and it's called Personality Plus.
mhm.
Who's it by?
Florence Littauer.
Okay, there you go. Florence
Littauer.
Littauer. So the tower in French. Littauer.
That's not
Littauer.
how you spell it at all. There you go. Princess posted it. There you go.
Awesome. That's amazing. Yep. By Florence. Oh yeah. No, that's not how you.
Littauer.
But it does look French.
Not Littauer. Littauer.
Littauer.
I'm Littauer.
I'm Littauer. Yes. Okay. Anyways, sorry guys. No. Okay. So this book, it will be just really helpful to you, because I think one of the things that we all have to deal with is understanding each other. You know, I act this way. My reasoning is this, right? We have that. And then there's other people out there, and they act different than us. They have their own reasons, right? I think it's important to understand we're not all thinking about the same thing. And even when we are, we don't go about it the same way. A great example of this is your mother walks into your room and it's like, whoa, this room is a pigsty. And you're like, you're looking around and you see like 3 items on the floor. Everything else looks clean. And you're like, it just looks messy because of these 3 items. Like, it's not a big deal, Mom. She's like, well, you're going to have to clean this up. Up until that point, you weren't even paying attention to the objects on the ground, right? You were not paying attention whatsoever to the mess, because you know what? Your brain isn't worried about that mess. It doesn't matter to you. Or rather, it matters. Like, I want this plate to go into the kitchen eventually to get washed, because I don't want it to grow mold or something. Like, right? It matters, but it's not on the forefront of my mind. It's important, but it's not on the forefront of my mind. I have time later, I can put this. Yeah, it's on the back burner. So I think that you might be running a little bit into this, right? It's not that your friends don't care about you. It's not that your friends want to avoid you. It's that the way they go about things is probably not the same way you would.
Mm.
I know that myself, I occasionally am someone who starts up a conversation, but most of the time I don't. Most of the time, other people start up a conversation with me. And the reason is not because I'm ignoring them. The reason is because I don't really have anything to say or anything I want to say. Or even if I just like, man, I really want to talk to that person, but I don't really have anything to talk about. just want to hang with them, I guess, but I don't know what to do. So, you know what? I'm just gonna go off and just like go to the fridge and grab a popsicle and chillax on my couch and watch TV. Right? And it's like, that didn't solve anything. Yeah, I know it didn't, but like, hey, I'm satisfied now. Right? It's like it has nothing to do with you or your relationship. I think um when you feel this, when you feel this happen, a good question is to ask what's in their heart. What are their intentions? And assume the best of them because they're your friends, right? We want to assume the best of our friends. Now, yes, it could be that they're ignoring you. That they want to push you away or whatever, right? But we don't want to assume that of them. That would be that would be kind of mean, right? That would be wrong. That would be putting our friendships in a bad place because now whenever we speak to them, we're assuming bad things about them, and that is absolutely nothing you want, right? You want to assume the best of your friendships. That way you can lift up the best parts of them. And I think that's a good point to continue on is in our friendships, we shouldn't worry about what's broken, what's wrong with the individual, what they could be doing better.
Mm.
Rather, we should see what's good and amplify that. In any relationship you have, look for what's good in it and amplify it. Bring it out, make it more present. So if your role is to be the initiator, you you just be the best initiator you can be. If your friends have a good way with words, or maybe they just really know how to take it easy and not be upset about things, man, that's their role. Uplift them and help them just be like, you're really good at this. And that will inspire them to do it even better. And then, yeah, maybe, you want them to initiate once in a while, right? You could always bring that up to them. It depends on your relationship with your friend and how you say it. You don't want to go to your friend and be like, hey, do you not like me? Like, you never talk to me. Like, I don't want to be your friend anymore if you're going to just treat me like that. You don't want to act like that, right? Instead, if you go to him and you say, hey, you know, I do a lot of the initiating of like all of our talks and stuff like that. Sometimes it'd be cool if other people maybe initiated conversation with me every once in a while, you know, go about it like that. They're not feeling so thrown under the bus, or, you could be even softer and just, and be like, hey, um, I don't know. Let me think of an example. I don't know. Or okay, one thing you could do is say, "Hey, do you ever feel like you just want to hang out? If you ever do, call me. Like, don't ever be afraid to call me. Because I would appreciate that a lot. Actually, I would really appreciate that. You know, because I like to talk. So if you ever like just want to if you ever wanted to like talk on the phone or something, just call me, dude. It's cool. Um, something like that. Then that puts them in a position where like, oh, okay, cool. That's something I can do. Because now you're giving them something that they can do. You're not telling them to do something. You're not putting the weight on them. You're just like, hey, if you ever want to call, like, just go ahead and call because I really like that. Then just end the conversation right there, or end that whole sentence right there. Just that phrase right there. That would probably do everything you're looking for. But yeah, I would say everybody's got their own personalities. Everybody's bringing something different to the table. And if you read Personality Plus, I think that's a really good book because you'll start to understand how they work and why they go about their life in different ways than you. Some people, they want to know, like above everything, that they're right. Yeah, They don't care if their friendship is destroyed as long as they know that at the end of the day, they were right about that topic.
Yep.
All right. Does that make sense to you? Because it doesn't to me. But some people are like that.
I'm like that.
There you go.
Naturally.
Yeah. See?
I've had to learn to not be like that. I've had to learn that friendships are valuable.
And that's the beautiful thing is we can look at the personalities that are out there and take the best of them and be like, I'm gonna act like that. I'm just gonna start incorporating that in my own way of life, in my own lifestyle, and my own personality. And we can emulate the good parts about other people. And I think that's amazing. And so, yeah, I would encourage you to read that book. But yeah, I'm going to pass it on to Joe. So thanks for listening.
I think that's a great book recommendation because when you approach things with the foundation of understanding different ways that people are, it really helps you in how to approach people, because a lot of times we speak our own personality's language very well, but other personalities don't. And they like us and tolerate us and everything like that and whatever, but they don't speak the same language we do. And it's possible that a lot of your friends have a different personality type than you. And so maybe you're speaking your language. Another one that's great is the 5 love languages. It's generally gauged for like relationships, like, romantic relationships, but that book also teaches, it's another aspect of our personality, which is how do you show love,
your affection and love. Yeah.
Yep. How do you show that you love someone, whether it's romantic or just platonic, it could, just friendship, love, those different things. And those are good things to know as well. So, there's different things. That book's by a guy called Gary Chapman, The 5 Love Languages. And it's all frilly and it's purple and it's got a heart on it probably. And
I don't remember, but I have the book. It's one of the few books I've ever read. I love it.
It's a great book. It's a great book. So you've got personalities and 5 love languages. There's also the 5 languages of apology by Gary Chapman. That's a good one. But yeah, these things kind of just give you a basis for how people are, certain different personality types, different ways people are. So it can help you engage with different people in different ways.
On their level.
Exactly, on their level. Because if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're a screwdriver, everything looks like a screw. If you're a whatever. But I love that Ryan made those recommendations. One thing you can do, this would be very interesting, because in a lot of ways, I'm an initiator as well. And, sometimes it seems like I got to be the one to call people. And I remember, here's a tip. Here's a technique you can do. Ryan knows where I'm going with this. I told everybody, I told Ryan and everybody at Black Static and Swerve in a conference call, I'm like, I'm going to call Ryan this week. We have weekly conference calls. And that was one of my things I was putting on my to-do list. I'm going to call Ryan. We're going to talk about whatever.
By the way, Joe, I get excited when you say that, because I'm like, yes, I get private time with Joe. We're just going to chat and talk. I'm like, man, this is going to be great. And then you go on. So that's my perspective of it. Okay. Believe it or not, even though I don't make the phone calls.
So the funny thing is I didn't end up calling him. Like, I got really busy. It was crazy. And I just didn't have a chance to call him. And so then at the next conference call, Ryan's like, Joe, you didn't call me.
That's right.
And I was like, hey, phone works both ways, man. Like, you can call too. Like, it's okay. If ever, I'm giving you permission. If ever you feel like I should be calling you, you can call me too. It's okay. And so then he called me like right in the middle of the conference call, like right there. It was funny.
Yeah. I
But
called him like
yeah,
two,
so
two
then he could
minutes
be like,
later.
yeah, he's like, now I can say I called you, and I could show everybody my phone. Yep, Ryan called me. Look. And but that's one thing you can do also is you could like tell people, hey, I'm gonna call you later. And then don't.
Oh, that's great. That's a great tactic.
And see what they do. Like, because they might be like, hey, I waited for your phone call.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. But you can call me too. I don't remember what we were gonna talk about. You can call me. But it's I don't know. But we do have different personalities, like Ryan was saying. Everybody's built a little bit different. And it's okay. It's part of what makes this existence so beautiful, is that we're different. And in a lot of ways, in a lot of groups of friends, leaders in different areas emerge.
Hmm.
You have groups of friends, and in fact, you have groups of, I know different churches have staffs that are made up of different types of personalities to handle different types of aspects of things. Management teams of businesses are built that way. Human resource departments are built that way, and groups of friends. I mean, it just kind of naturally comes about. Like, so if somebody has a certain type of an issue, they know they need to go to this one person because they're good at dealing with that type of a thing, or if somebody needs to plan an event, they talk to this other person. If somebody needs to manage money, you talk to Ryan's brother, Kyle, because he is extremely logical and good and numbers based, and he can make very sound decisions based on facts, not, hey, I think this would be great. We should do it and spend a lot of money on it. What do you think? And he'll be like, okay, the math doesn't make sense. No, we're not doing it.
He's tactful though too about it.
He is. He's very
Right.
good. Yes. Yep. But he's straightforward. He's like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Because I mean, and he'll tell you why. He'll be like, because it's going to cost this. What's the value of it? What's it going to do for us? As for our company? How's it going to move us forward? He has a very good approach to all that. So anyway, but these are just examples of saying, different people in groups of friends, businesses, any type of organization or friendship group, they have different roles. And maybe that's one of your roles in this group of friends. Maybe they look to you as that type of person. Like, this is the person that kind of keeps us together. He keeps tabs, kind of, I feel connected because of this person. And even though they don't respond. Now, if it seems like, one thing you can do is you can ask. Like Ryan was saying, you can ask questions. It's okay. And be like, hey, you know what? Do I bother you with phone calls? Like, because I call and I know we're busy. People are busy, and I know you don't always answer, but I just want to make sure that I'm not bothering you by calling you. And people will be glad to share most of the time. Most of the time it'll be like, a lot of times people be honest. But I mean, but if you approach it like that, if you approach it with the heart of a friend, because I know if you're like me, it could be frustrating. And you'd be like, you're not answering my phone calls. I am going out of my way to call you. You are not answering. It's frustrating. And it's not right. And how could you disrespect me in such a way? Because I kind of automatically go down that trail. That's just kind of like, is anybody else out there like that? Because I know Ryan's not. So
Yeah,
if it's
I
just
can't
me and
relate.
Ryan, I feel way out of place with that because like
Well, it's 50-50. So hey, you get at least half of the population of this current spectrum, you and I.
right, right. So I mean, based on your personality type, if you take the personality test and it turns out that you're a phlegmatic, like Ryan,
Mhm.
then you can be downright mean
Oh,
and it'll come across as mildly assertive.
that's right.
But from your perspective, you'll be like,
You're like,
"Ugh,"
yeah, I can't
and
believe
it'll
you
come
said
across like, hey
that.
man, like, hey, I just wanted to make sure that we did this. You know,
And you're
and you're
yeah, when
thinking
I
you're
get
like you think
upset,
you're
I'm
just like
like,
yelling at him.
yeah.
"Ugh."
You're like,
So
wow, I just pulled off like I was choleric. They're probably shocked.
yep.
They're like, yeah, he's so chill.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're a choleric, don't be mean because you probably already are.
Yeah, you try to come off nice. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad.
A lot of times, well, it's cholerics are a little bit sharper edge, get stuff done, boom, 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 bah.
Hmm.
And
They know how to get things done, let me tell you.
they totally do. In fact, it's great. Like, and they tend to be the people that everybody else kind of looks to as the leader. Like, we're following them because they're going somewhere. Like,
Mhm.
they're blazing the trail, getting things done. Da, 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 da. And if you get into the situation where then you have this group of people and you're a choleric, then the temptation is you start bossing them around. And that is where you need to know personalities because
It's
if you're
really about in the moment being able to forgive them for the way that they're acting because it's not how you act at all.
right.
It's how you would
Yes.
never act that way.
You're like, how can you sit so still?
Mm.
How can you do nothing? I don't understand this. Like,
Yeah, people say that. People say that to me. And I'm sure they
how
say
do
it to
you
you too.
how do you sit there and do nothing?
Yeah. And I'm like, it's amazing. You should try it sometime. It's like my favorite thing.
I have a hard time doing nothing
Yeah.
unless I'm asleep.
Well, of course I'm thinking.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
When I'm doing nothing, I'm actually just contemplating.
Yeah.
So
But then there's melancholy and sanguine as well. I'm very strong melancholy and
mhm.
Ryan's very strong phlegmatic. And those are just different things. If you go through there and you look at them, you'll find a little bit. But the point of that is not so we have a label for ourselves so we can be like, oh, that's just how I am and that's how I'm always going to be and you deal with me on my terms because
Right.
that's how I am. No, it's so you can take your strengths and find the strengths in other personalities and start to adopt them and incorporate them into your life and start to become like we all have the ability to change and grow. That's the beautiful thing. But what it does, having the knowledge of different personality types will give you a basis for dealing with all these other people. Like, you'll be able to have an individualized approach to each person and be able to understand better how to you know help them flourish, really, because how to communicate with them in a way that brings them out, if that makes sense. Brings them out of their shell, helps them, develops your relationship more closely and gives you a level of understanding on how they operate, so then you can adapt and function in that relationship better. So that's the point. It's, a lot of people will read the book and say, well, it's just my personality. I'm a sanguine, so hey, don't take anything I say seriously. Like, we're just gonna party and have fun. It's gonna be great. Woo! You know, but yeah. So at any rate, try and tell them you're gonna call them and then don't and see how that goes over.
That's an interesting way to do it.
And yeah, check out some of that stuff. And it sounds to me that, you're wanting to improve, Wandering Soul, and that's great. And I think you're on the right track just by asking the question. And if you listen to what Ryan had to say and follow what he said and take the book that he recommended and kind of, you don't even have to read the whole thing, but just kind of skim through it or find a Cliff's Notes version or something,
Yeah.
or find where other people are talking about different personality types. I'm sure there are TED Talks about it.
Hmm.
I'm sure there are different areas you can find, some information. But, if you just, if you find those resources, they can do so much to help. And from there, there was this thing called the top 5 books, and they were all based on they're all based on relationships and people skills and all that.
They were the top 5 books because everyone who was in the company, leading the company, were the clerics.
Yes, that's true. They were.
They were the top 5 books mostly for like phlegmatics. They're all about like, hey, you
hmm
you really need to get your act together when it comes to people skills. But yeah,
Well,
it's just kind of funny.
there is some validity
But
to
we
that.
actually, a lot of phlegmatics need a lot of help in that area
I
too,
think
let me
that's
tell you.
that's a thing where everybody, I mean, we all could
Hmm.
use more people skills. We
Oh
all could
yeah,
use more ability with people.
yeah.
And, so I mean, you can find there's all kinds of great stuff. And a great start
Anyway,
is the
sorry to deter you.
personality types. No, absolutely. You're fine. A great start is the personalities because it's fun. You figure out kind of where you are and where other people are, and it gives you a really solid basis for dealing with other people. And from there, you learn things like smile, ask questions about them, be genuinely interested in the other person and what they want. Whoa, that's crazy. I remember when I read that, I was like, what? I thought my job was to get everybody else interested in what I wanted.
Right.
I thought my whole goal was to get everybody to be impressed with me, but no,
Yeah.
my goal needs to be impressed by other people. What? If you make other people feel like they are the most interesting person in the world, they will want to spend time with you. If you are interested in other people and impressed by them, they will want to be around you more than you can stand. You may become their therapist if you're not careful.
Yeah. That's gonna happen. No.
But yeah.
No, it's actually a really good point. I think it's all really important how you view your friendships, and how you view yourself inside of your friendships. I think it's important to remember that who you are is not dictated by how people see you.
Mm.
Your personal value has very little to do with whether other people care about you or not. And
It's
so
everything. It's everything.
I think it's so common, like even for me, it's like growing up, especially, um, it's so common to get caught up
Mhm.
in what other people think,
We do.
and then having that determine how we feel or how we think about ourselves or how we think they think, even though they never told us that they're thinking that, and we just assume that they hate us, even though they never said anything bad. We just like, yeah, that guy hates me. I don't know why. I never did anything against him, but like he just hates me.
They
You
looked
don't
at
know
me.
him. You
They
know?
looked at me and they didn't smile.
Oh, yeah.
They don't
So
smile.
obviously they don't like you. You're the problem. No. Yeah. I mean, we are so quick to to do this to ourselves, and it's really unfortunate because it's not helpful at all. Um, which, yeah, I think there's so much on that topic. Um, but hopefully this this has helped you, and will help you move forward in your relationships with your other friends.
Saigo just took the personality test.
Hmm. Nice.
You have a kindred spirit, Ryan.
There we are. Hey, Saigo.
Yep. So you are a great friend. People, you are like the buffer zone.
Yeah. Yep.
Relaxed, easy to be around, easy to get along with. Yeah. We could all use a little bit more phlegmatic, unless you're phlegmatic.
You don't want too many. You don't want too many. We don't get anything done.
my personality was so strong melancholy that I was the guy who always had to be right. Like all my friends were phlegmatics because they're the only ones who were patient enough to deal with me.
Yeah.
They're like, oh man. It's kind of like in BSS, like Jesse's a lot phlegmatic, Ryan's a lot phlegmatic, Kyle's he's pretty melancholy.
He's melancholy. He's not
Yeah.
phlegmatic. He's melancholy. He's straight up like 10 out of 10 melancholy. No, I don't know, but he's pretty melancholy.
Yeah, Jeff's melancholy. Steve's
melancholy.
fun. I'm melancholy. Steve's choleric.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun when you're dealing with cholerics. You just throw down a little bit of a challenge, and they're all.
Joe,
over
you're so good at that.
Man,
it's terrifying.
They're all over it. It's hilarious. And he knows. Good at it. He knows what I'm doing, and he still he can't help but get caught up in it. Like, because I'll just be like, Steve, I'm really not sure if you can do this. I don't know. Maybe you can. He's just.
You're so good at it. It's amazing. I don't think I could ever pull it. Maybe, but you're just really good at it. You're like, you could I don't know, with your skill set, like you could probably do this task, but it would probably it would look like you didn't put very much effort in. And it would probably be really late. Yeah. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. Yeah, because I don't think there's any way you could possibly do this. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna show you, buddy.
I'm doing it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing it. No, this task is mine."
Yeah, there was something, man. We were on a conference call, and I did that with him.
Oh, it was amazing.
And he was like,
he knew.
I don't know if you can do it or not. I mean, you're taking your guitar with you to wherever. I don't know. Maybe you can come up with a song. And he wrote like 4 songs.
Yeah.
Just to show it.
It was amazing.
Yep. He was so.
Things I can't write songs. I'll show him. I'll write 4. It's amazing.
Yep. This is fun. But at any rate, so that probably is about the time we have for this show tonight. So wow, thank you guys. Mike Gary, I'm sorry you got here right towards the end.
At the end of it, yeah.
So yeah, best way to describe that. Is that a challenge? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Throw down the challenge. And then they're like, whoa. Yeah, they get all over that. But yeah, so anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. You're awesome. And we love you all. Oh, just a heads up, we will not be here next week. Next Wednesday is Christmas Day.
Yes.
So we will not be here for Don't Worry Wednesday on Christmas Day. We wish you all a wonderful Merry Christmas. We are, however, going to try and do one the next week on January 1st.
Which is the New Year.
Which is New Year's Day, which I think we could probably do. And it might be a little late, but I don't know. And it just kind of depends on what goes on. I mean, that's not as big a day. But so best thing you can do, make sure you have the notification bell hit. So then when we go live, and you're just able to come on if you want. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so also for those who have the notification hit and it doesn't it still doesn't notify you, like Saigo, you said you had that problem earlier. make sure you buy another phone and hit it bell, like just make an entirely extra account. Maybe you don't even need another phone. Just make like 4. You can make like 4 email accounts and hit the notification on all 4. That way you're at least 4 times more likely to get it. Still no guarantees because we don't control YouTube. So
Master Lay says, can we get an earlier hour DWW someday? That's a great question. I hope so.
yeah.
Right now, with the schedule being the way it is for us, well, for me in particular, it's tough. There's all kinds of stuff: family, work, martial arts, sports. It's wild. But I would love to be here earlier, and maybe we can make that happen
Someday, and
Yeah.
hopefully this year.
And if we do it, it'll probably be unannounced. What do you mean this
So you
year?
better
It
hit
won't
that.
be. It's definitely not going to be this year.
This coming year, I meant.
Oh.
This Thursday, meaning tomorrow. So this year means next year, obviously.
Next year means next year.
Okay, no, I totally meant
You
next
can't
year.
pull
I don't
this.
know.
You can't totally pull it. You totally can't. You do this thing with the week, and it's
Okay, I'm
totally
sorry.
wrong anyway.
I'm sorry. I
But-
know, and
and-
I was going in your direction with it, like pulling the cover of your. I don't.
When I say this year, it means next year. No, it doesn't.
Well, that's what you say when you. I don't know. Anyways,
Anyway, you guys are awesome. We'll see you next time. Have a great Christmas, and understand that we love you and wish you the best through this holiday season. And be safe and love those around you.
Mm.
And then come on back when we come back. We'd love to have you. So
Yep.
You're awesome. Special thanks to Jesse, our
Mhm.
producer. Special thanks to Princess for being the chat room hostess and keeping us on track. She's amazing. And she posted every single one of those links so fast, I didn't even have time to think about it.
Yeah. What was that? Magic.
Amazing. Magic. So, all right. Well, you guys are awesome. We'll see you next time on Don't Worry Wednesday. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye. Peace.